Picture this.
Yeah.
You're walking into like a high-stakes corporate boardroom in Manhattan.
Oh, wow. Okay, setting the scene.
Right. You got the heavy mahogany table, the floor-to-ceiling windows, analysts in tailored suits reviewing compliance data on these pristine tablets.
Yeah, very serious vibes.
Exactly. And the tension in the room is just palpable because they're about to make a massive multi-million-dollar asset allocation.
Right.
But then you look at the head of the table, the seat reserved for the chairman of the board, and sitting right there is a cartoon raccoon.
I mean, it is a striking image, to put it mildly.
It really is.
Like you have two completely different universes colliding in real time here.
Yeah.
We're watching the chaotic, decentralized energy of internet culture attempt to integrate directly with that highly regulated suit and tie world of institutional investing.
And that collision is exactly what we are exploring with you today.
Absolutely.
We've got this incredibly detailed article from Normie Crypto, and it outlines a pivotal moment for a project called the Memlinked or MK ecosystem.
All right, the MK ecosystem.
Yeah. And if you go to memlinked.com right now, you'll see this massive new minting event taking place. Like thousands of new digital assets are being generated as we speak.
It's a huge traffic surge.
Totally. But if you look past that immediate surge, the underlying roadmap they're rolling out is honestly surprisingly calculated.
Oh, it's very deliberate.
They're executing this massive structural shift designed to attract serious corporate investors, and they're using like grassroots community scaling to build the infrastructure.
Right.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because before we look at their Wall Street ambitions, we really need to understand the mechanics of what is actually happening on their platform today.
Yeah, because you cannot understand their institutional pivot without first, examining the bedrock of their brand value.
Right.
Like the new minting event on Memlinked.com is generating a massive amount of volume right now, which involves users interacting with the blockchain to create and claim brand new digital assets.
Yeah, fresh assets.
But the most important dynamic playing out isn't about the new assets at all.
Wait, really?
Yeah, it's about the original collection.
Oh, right. The article makes a point of highlighting this counterintuitive reaction. Like, traffic is surging because of the new drops, but the people making the most noise online are the ones holding what they call the OG MK Raccoon collection.
Exactly. The original ones.
Yeah, these are the original assets from when the project first launched. And the community refers to these specific holders as having diamond hands.
Right, which is a term that originates from retail stock trading, right?
Yeah, the whole meme stock era.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it basically describes an investor's psychology. Like, having diamond hands means a person just outright refuses to sell an asset despite extreme price volatility.
They just hold on for dear life.
Yeah, through the crashes and the spikes. And in the context of the meme-linked ecosystem, these OG raccoon holders have refused to sell, which severely constrains the available supply on secondary markets.
Like OpenSea.
Right, OpenSea, which operates essentially as an eBay for digital assets, but governed by smart contracts.
Okay, so supply is super limited.
Exactly.
Right.
When supply is constrained because the original holders refuse to list their assets for sale, the underlying value naturally begins to compound.
Well, I want to break down exactly why they refuse to sell, because the Normie Crypto piece outlines some real structural advantages to holding one of these original raccoons.
Oh, yeah, it's not just sentimental.
Right. It isn't just sentimental attachment. The smart contracts of the Memlinked ecosystem actually program in a strict hierarchy. If you hold an OG raccoon, you get what they call ecosystem priority.
And that priority is very tangible.
How so?
Well, in the decentralized web, or Web3, holding a specific digital asset in your digital wallet acts as like an unforgeable VIP pass.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so when Memlinked releases new features or executes an airdrop, which is essentially the automated distribution of free tokens or new assets directly into user wallets.
Basically a reward for loyalty.
Exactly. The smart contracts check to see who holds the OG raccoons. And those wallets get the rewards first, and usually in the highest quantities.
Wait, so it functions almost like a programmable dividend.
That's a perfect way to describe it.
So holding the bedrock asset constantly generates new value for you. But beyond the programmable rewards, there's also the psychological aspect of collecting, right?
Absolutely.
Because the source material notes that on these secondary markets, the OG raccoons are treated as blue chip assets.
Yeah, and that's because provenance is everything in a digital landscape that's basically characterized by infinite reproducibility.
Right, because anyone can just right-click and save a picture of a raccoon.
Exactly. Or even mint a brand new derivative collection. But the blockchain mathematically proves the exact timestamp and origin of the Genesis collection.
Like traditional art.
Right. It's the difference between buying a mass-produced poster of the Mona Lisa and owning the original canvas.
Wow, yeah.
Collectors assign a massive premium to that first edition status because while the ecosystem might eventually hold millions of new avatars, the original set will remain mathematically finite forever.
And that leads into the most functional aspect of the original collection, which is community governance.
Yes, the voting rights.
Right. These assets double as a voting mechanism. If you hold one, you literally get to cast verifiable votes on the treasury spending and the future direction of the Memlinked project.
It's wild.
It is.
Yeah.
And when you combine that voting power, the historical provenance, and the programmable dividends, you trigger what the article calls the flywheel effect.
Yeah, the flywheel is essentially a mechanism of momentum.
Okay.
So the new minting event happening today offers cheaper, more accessible entry points for casual users.
Right. Lower barrier to entry.
Exactly. A new user comes in, buys a low-cost asset, and joins the community. And as they spend time in the ecosystem, they begin to understand that hierarchy we talked about.
They see the OG holders getting all the perks.
Right. They see the voting power, the exclusive airdrops, and human psychology kicks in. The collector desires to complete the set or reach the top of the pyramid.
It's the same mechanism as collecting trading cards, but supercharged by financial stakes.
Exactly.
As more people enter at the bottom, the demand for the top-tier assets, the OG Raccoons, increases, which drives up their floor price.
And the floor price is simply the lowest current asking price on the market.
Right. There's actually a quote from a prominent collector in the article that nails this dynamic.
Oh, what did they say?
They said, minting today is exciting, but holding the OG MK Raccoon feels like owning a piece of the bedrock. It's the asset that started it all, and its value only grows as the Memlinked world expands.
Yeah, the language they use there is super revealing.
How do you mean?
Well, they view these digital items not as consumer products, but as equity in a growing digital nation.
Oh, okay, but let me push back on the structure for a moment.
Sure.
Because I understand the incentive to be an early adopter. It is like owning a first edition comic book that magically grants you a seat on the publisher's board of directors.
Right. Best of both worlds.
You get the financial upside and the institutional control. But if a small group of original holders controls the votes, receives the bulk of the rewards, and dictates the culture, doesn't that inherently alienate the thousands of new users minting assets today?
It's a valid concern.
I mean, you're inviting them into the ecosystem, but mathematically cementing them as second-class citizens.
What's fascinating here is that the health of the ecosystem relies entirely on that specific tension.
Wait, it relies on it?
Yes. Without the original holders providing a stable price floor, refusing to panic sell when markets dip, the project has no foundational value.
Okay, I see that.
But a bedrock without a building on top of it is just a slab of concrete.
Right.
If the new users don't bring in fresh liquidity, generate viral social media traffic, and expand the cultural footprint of the brand, the OG Raccoons become highly exclusive assets sitting in an empty room.
So the new users validate the status of the OGs by bringing the volume, and the OGs give the new users an aspirational target.
Exactly. It's a closed loop of value creation.
But this loop entirely depends on retail users, right? Like people trading from their laptops and engaging in meme culture.
Yeah.
Because if we look at the second half of Memelink's roadmap, a high floor price on OpenSea doesn't magically make Wall Street take you seriously.
No, not at all.
If I'm managing a $50 million hedge fund, I'm not logging into a Discord server to check the vibes of a raccoon community before making an allocation.
Definitely not.
So how are they planning to bridge that massive gap?
Well, this is where the strategy shifts from community building to a highly sophisticated corporate restructuring.
Okay.
Memlinked understands that institutional capital operates under strict regulatory mandates. Like, a family office or an investment bank cannot allocate client funds based on social media hype.
Right, they'd get fired.
Exactly. They require auditable, structured data. So to solve this, Memlinked is planning to completely bifurcate their ecosystem later this year.
Bifurcate? You mean split it?
Yeah, they're building a second, parallel social media network designed explicitly for institutional investors.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. They are splitting their own personality right down the middle.
Totally.
It's kind of like a Vegas casino.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Right. You walk in, and the main floor is loud. You have the flashing lights, the slot machines, the tourists having a great time. That is memelinked.com.
Yes.
It remains the creative hub. It's chaotic, driven by viral meme culture, and optimized for retail engagement.
Yeah.
But if you take the private elevator upstairs to the windowless, quiet rooms, you find the high roller tables playing by an entirely different set of rules.
And that is the institutional gateway they're building.
Exactly.
And the architecture of that institutional gateway is what makes this roadmap so ambitious.
How so?
Well, the article notes that this parallel platform will feature verified business profiles, professional-grade analytical tools, and critically clean data feeds.
Okay, let's drill into that term.
Sure.
What exactly does a clean data feed look like when the underlying product is a meme? Like, how do you sanitize that kind of chaos?
It requires building application programming interfaces, or APIs, that act as a sophisticated filter.
Okay.
Quantitative analysts at large firms use complex algorithmic models to predict market movements. If you plug a raw feed of Memelink's retail activity into a Bloomberg terminal, the algorithmic models will fail.
They just break.
Yeah, they cannot parse rocket emojis, internet slang, and chaotic sentiment.
Right, of course.
So a clean data feed strips away all that cultural noise. It extracts only the mathematically verifiable metrics,
Like what?
like on-chain transaction volume, the depth of liquidity pools, unique wallet interactions, and historical price volatility. Memlinked is essentially translating the Wild West of internet culture into a standardized spreadsheet that a compliance officer can comfortably sign off on.
So they're acting as a cultural translator for the suits.
Basically, yeah.
But if this new platform is completely sterilized and scrubbed of the community's personality, where do the OG raccoon holders fit in?
Ah, good question.
Because they're the bedrock of the project, but their roots are fundamentally in the Wild West.
Well, the early reports analyzed in the source material indicate that the OG raccoons will function as the bridge between these two environments.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because holding an OG raccoon mathematically verifies your early involvement and vested interest in the project. That asset will create exclusive reputation perks and access on the new institutional platform.
The article actually refers to them as the board of directors for the brand.
Which makes sense.
But I have to question the viability of this bifurcation. I mean, can a project really survive this kind of extreme compartmentalization?
It's definitely risky.
You're fostering an anything-goes decentralized retail playground on one side, and building a highly regulated, sanitized data hub for traditional finance on the other. Isn't there a massive risk of an identity crisis?
Yeah, a huge one.
Like, the institutional investors might look at the meme side and conclude the asset is fundamentally unserious, while the core community might look at the corporate boardroom side and decide the project's sold out.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you have to look at the historical failure rate of digital asset projects that tried to compromise.
Okay. What does that show us?
Projects that try to force institutional investors into their native, chaotic environments usually fail because the compliance risk is simply too high for the banks.
Makes sense.
And conversely, projects that try to sanitize their entire brand to appease Wall Street quickly lose the grassroots community that gave the project its initial value and momentum.
They lose their soul.
Right. So compartmentalization, as drastic as it seems, might be the only viable survival strategy.
So Memlinked is betting that by physically separating the environments, they can pass the strict due diligence checks of institutional capital without suffocating the retail passion.
Exactly.
Okay, assuming the architectural theory holds up, there is still a massive execution problem.
There always is.
Building a pristine, compliant terminal for Wall Street is useless if the network is empty.
Right. You need volume.
When those institutional analysts plug into the clean data feeds, they need to see massive, sustained user growth to justify an investment.
Absolutely.
Memlinked needs an army of users to populate this expansion. So how do you scale a network that rapidly without spending hundreds of millions on traditional advertising?
Well, you deploy the community you already have.
Right.
Because traditional marketing methods like buying banner ads or paying influencers have severely diminishing returns in the Web3 space.
Oh, definitely.
The most effective mechanism for user acquisition is peer-to-peer conviction. But Memlinked isn't just relying on organic word of mouth here.
Yeah.
No, they're actively standardizing and professionalizing it through a suite of resources called Normie Tool, hosted over at normiecrypto.com.
Ah, okay. This is the strategic ecosystem scaling the article focuses on.
Exactly.
The stated purpose of Normie Tool is to lower the barrier to entry, but looking at the mechanics, it's essentially a decentralized hub for building massive referral networks.
That's precisely what it is.
They are turning everyday users into a professional marketing force.
Let's look at how the mechanism actually functions, because it's pretty clever.
Yeah, let's hear it.
In the traditional digital asset space, tracking who invited whom and ensuring the referrer gets properly compensated is a highly technical challenge involving custom smart contracts.
Right, it's messy.
Very. But Normie Tool abstracts all that complex code away behind a clean user interface. It equips everyday holders with professional-grade dashboards.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They can generate unique, cryptographically secure referral links.
It is brilliant, really. If an OG holder shares their specific link, the underlying blockchain tracks the exact digital wallet that clicks it.
Exactly.
And if that new user mints an asset or makes a transaction, the protocol automatically routes a percentage of the transaction fee directly back to the original referrer.
Seamlessly.
It's completely transparent, mathematically guaranteed affiliate marketing.
Yep.
Plus, Normie Tool provides them with in-depth educational articles on how to effectively promote the assets. It's almost like a franchise model.
A franchise model is an incredibly accurate comparison.
Memlinked isn't just selling you a digital asset, they're handing you a business in a box.
Right.
They provide the product, the educational marketing materials, and the tracking infrastructure. They're telling their community, go out and sell the network yourself, grow your own influence, and we both profit.
Yes.
But wait. If you arm your entire community with professional marketing suites and everyone is suddenly heavily incentivized by referral commissions, doesn't the community lose its authenticity?
This raises an important question, because the risk of the ecosystem devolving into the digital equivalent of a multi-level marketing seminar is significant.
Yeah, like an MLM.
Exactly. Nobody wants to participate in a community where every conversation is just a thinly veiled attempt to hit a quarterly referral quota.
Nobody.
It destroys the organic, chaotic magic that makes meme culture viral in the first place.
Exactly. You lose the soul of the project if everyone is just a commissioned sales rep.
However, Memelink's strategy relies on a foundational premise of digital asset culture, which is that financial alignment is the ultimate community builder. They believe that when retail users are given the tools to directly profit from the growth of the network, their passion doesn't diminish, it professionalizes.
Ah, I see.
Normie Tool is an attempt to harness the chaotic energy of the Wild West and channel it into a highly efficient, trackable growth engine. And if the retail community can use these tools to drive undeniable verified volume, that is the exact data the institutional investors will see when they look at the clean feeds on the parallel platform.
Wow. Okay, so let's pull all of these threads together to understand the full picture for you listening.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. Memelinked is attempting a highly ambitious corporate maneuver to prove that digital assets don't have to choose between retail hype and Wall Street utility.
Right.
They're leveraging the OG Raccoons, the diamond hand early adopters, as the foundational bedrock to stabilize the market.
Yes.
Then they are taking the unprecedented step of splitting their ecosystem into two distinct worlds. You've got a loud, viral playground for the retail traders and a sterilized, compliant data gateway for institutional analysts.
Exactly.
And finally, to ensure they have the sheer volume necessary to impress those institutions, they are arming their community with Normie Tool, transforming casual participants into a professionalized, decentralized marketing army.
Yeah.
It is a massive structural shift hiding behind cartoon avatars.
It really is.
Yeah.
And, as we observe this strategy unfold, there's a profound philosophical question we have to consider.
Oh, what's that?
Well, the original ethos of Web3 and decentralized assets was rooted in a rejection of traditional corporate structures.
Right. It was supposed to be a rebellion.
Exactly. It was meant to bypass the banks and the boardrooms entirely.
Yeah.
But as projects like Memlinked intentionally build tools to clean up data and sanitize their platforms explicitly to attract large corporate investment firms, what is the actual end game here?
Right. That's the big question.
If the ultimate goal of grassroots digital asset culture is simply to build a compliant, sterilized platform for hedge funds, are communities like the OG Raccoons actually subverting the traditional financial system, or have they spent all this time, energy, and capital just building its newest wing?
Wow. Are they breaking the boardroom or just taking a seat at the table?
Exactly.
That is a fascinating paradox to chew on as the Wild West continues to collide with Wall Street. Well, we appreciate you taking the time to explore this transition with us today. Keep questioning the mechanics and the evolving architecture of the digital asset world, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.